Hello everyone and welcome back to Bring It to Life with Gail. So this video is about making watercolor cards. Now I had started the project. I want to show you what I did. So I got these pre-made cards from Amazon. I will link everything below. You actually got a 20 pack of cards, and they're white blank cards with the 5x7 envelopes. However, once I started stamping and using my watercolors, the watercolors don't work as good on this kind of paper. I made some watercolor cards before and I totally forgot that I purchased other paper with it, which is a watercolor paper. Now, you can buy a pad of watercolor paper and cut them to size, but I really like the look of this on the white. It gives it a different kind of a color. And so excuse me. So once you use this watercolor paper, the watercolor seems to seep through the paper, and you will see when I do another card, you will see the difference between doing it on a regular paper and doing it on a paper that is for watercolors. I don't know what I was thinking when I did this. The other thing is you will need some watercolors. I will link all of these for you below. I purchased everything at Amazon. You can buy watercolors at your Dollar Tree, Walmart. However, this one here, what I liked about it is that you have all of these colors. It comes with 3 paint brushes, and I just like the variety of different colors. I had purchased, I'll show you this too. So I purchased these individual, oh, you can't really see it, huh? Okay. Well, let me see. So I purchased this stamp set, thinking I can just, like you see on this card, just put some stamping and do some of my own drawing for my stems and stuff like that. But I just didn't like the way this looks. So I went back to the drawing board, let's say, and I purchased this stamp. There we go. And this one has more of a bigger flower to fit into on my card. And then let me grab this again, my water paper. So as you can see, the paper with the stamp. If I do that stamp here with some leaves, and then I would have a space here for a sentiment. And that's really what I want to do. I'm going to leave the inside of these card blanks. However, I am going to add a sentiment to these cards. This pack has some beautiful sentiments, and they're not just, you know, this one says where flowers bloom, so does hope. This one says everyone needs a friend like you. Life begins at retirement, and sending smile across the miles. So, I mean, I can still use some of these stamps with this other set. I will link both of them below so you can see what I'm talking about. I also gonna use my I forgot what this is called now. Anyways, I'm gonna use this to do my cards, because they are flat, and you know, you're really going to need your bone to make sure that the cards fold exactly in half. And I also have my stamping pad. This is going to be very good to stamp all of my flowers. I'm going to let the ink dry from my stamps, so when I put my watercolor, the black ink will not disperse all over the place. So first the stamping on the watercolor paper, and then we'll go to assembling all the cards. So stay tuned for that. You can see this. So what I did is I'm putting my watercolor paper on my ink pad, and I just placed this where I kind of want to put my stamping at. And I like this little contour here, so I can put my sentiment right here. The sentiment that I'm gonna do is where flowers bloom, so does hope. I'm going to do all of my cards the same. So I'm actually just going to place that right there. You want to make sure that it's all even, and I really like that. And then I could maybe move this a little bit like that. And I really like that look. So what you do is you just go ahead and catch your stamp. And then you're just going to stamp this up. So I'm going to use my ink pad. This one doesn't full all the way. And I'm going to ink this up, and I will show you what I do. My ink pad, and I'm going to go ahead and ink this up really good. Because you are using your ink pad, you are capable of going back over and over again until you are satisfied with what the look looks like. Okay, oops, right on my table. Okay, so I'm looking, I don't think I missed anything. So then I am just gonna go ahead and stamp this up. Push hard. And nope. So see how it's light? So that's why I love this ink pad, because then I could just go back over this and do it again until I get the consistency in the ink that I want. Now I have my flower printed on my watercolor paper, and I'm going to do all of them the same. I'm going to be making 16 cards here, you guys. So I'm going to stamp these up, and then we'll go to the watercoloring, the fun part. At this point, I went ahead and stamped 10 of the watercolor paper. I want to experiment with this, and I will show you in a later video the other cards that I was trying to make. If you're a really good artist, you can probably skip the stamp, do a outline of a flower with a pencil, and then just paint those in. This is the flower that I stamp, and I used the watercolor. As you can see, I used a little fading. The watercolor, you guys, will do its own thing because it does spread a little bit on this paper. I love this look right here. You don't have to do just pink. I'm actually going to do some purples, some blues, and just really do different colors on this. So let's get started with this one. So this one here, I'm going to do the purples, you guys. So the paintbrush that I use is actually the smaller tip. I have this little container here just to put some paint in. So I'm going to start in the center. So therefore I'm going to use, okay, so these are my color purples right here. Purples right here. So my center, I kind of want to use some of this lighter purple. Do whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm putting it over here, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. So because you don't want this paint to be too thick, because you really want to do some watercolorings. So I'm adding my paintbrush in my water, and I'm just going to add some water to this and really pulling it out. I'm going to add a little bit more because I think it's a little too thick. Okay, so then we're going to start with this. So you're going to go to your center of your flower. This one is a little bit more detailed. Let's go to this one to show you. So what you do is you just pull your paintbrush back as you're doing some watercoloring. This is a little bit more time consuming, a little bit more details, and you're just pulling some of the colors up like that. Do you see that? This is not like something that's going to take 5-minute craft. This is a little bit longer process. And to me, sitting here doing a little painting, you can have some music on and just, you know, relax, have a little candle, maybe a little glass of winey, or a cup of coffee, a cup of tranquility tea, whatever you wish. And you just go like this and you just paint. So for the next color, I want it a little bit darker. So I'm gonna come to this color right here because it is darker. And I'm gonna come in here, but I'm going to mix some of this with the lighter color. I know it probably looks like a bluish, but it is purple. Okay, so now I'm gonna come with my darker color and pull some of that color. Do you see how the water is just kind of like feeding into the next color there? Okay, to me it's a little too dark. So I went ahead and put my paintbrush into some water real quick, and I'm just gonna pull this color on the side now. See how the color just drips onto itself? So I'm gonna use that flower to pull some of this color. I went a little too dark, but that's okay. Because it's watercolor, you can always fix it. There we go. It's like coloring into the lines, you guys. See how it goes? Did you see that? I know it's probably hard to see, but the paper just pulls the color wherever it's needed. Okay, a little bit darker. So I have some shade. I'm not a professional artist, by no means. But this one here, the color is really being pulled out off the paper. But that's okay because it's like a shade. It's like a shading color. A little bit more. Okay. So now I'm going to rinse my paintbrush, and I have a towel over here. Now I'm just going to show you the leaf. The leaf is the same thing, and I'm just gonna go a little dark, and I'm just barely touching the paper, you guys. I'm gonna pour my color on. And watch what I'm gonna do. I am going to add a little water to my paintbrush, and then I'm just going to bring my paintbrush in here to add some color to this. Okay, this one here is leaking a little bit more than what I want, but it is shading it. So now I'm going to do the other leaf. This is very intricate details. If you do those adult coloring book, you can do this in a heartbeat. And fill in all the gaps. And you see how the color is just pooling out, like it's a shadowing. So there we go. So I'm gonna finish this one. This one's gonna be a little bit harder for the flowers on top. So I'm gonna go back to my palette over here, add some water, mix this around, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and come into my flowers. And you just color in the lines, you guys. That's all you gotta do. Color into the lines. I'm barely using the tip of this brush just to add some of that color into these flowers. Now I'm leaving some spaces for the lighter purple, so you know, just you decide where you want to put your darker color, your shading, you know, that is entirely up to you. But I'm just coloring some of these pages here. I mean some pages, some of these petals. Add a little bit more. Remember, less is best because you can always go back and fill it up more if you want more color. I'm really loving that purple. Okay, now I'm gonna come over here. So you kind of get the idea of how I'm doing this. So I'm gonna finish this flower and I'll show it to you in a second. So here are the leaves and the flowers. So what I did is I took the darkest purple and I am adding some shading to my flowers. As you can see right here, there's a little white spot. I'm just gonna add my darker color. So it kind of adds a little shading. Do y'all see that getting darker there? So that what this does, you guys, it just adds a little shading to the flowers. Now I'm gonna add a little bit here and just a little tad there to give it like, and there is that. So now the middle of my flowers, I'm using yellow. This is super easy. I'm just rolling my brush, and if you roll your brush, it tends to keep it together at the bottom. And then I'm just gonna come in here and just add a touch of yellow for the center of the flowers. Do y'all see that happening? I hope so. So just add some of the yellow. I cannot wait to put all of these cards together. Don't forget this one down here. I added some shading around because it did leak a little bit out because I did use a little bit too much water. So guys, don't use a lot of water. It's rather little and adding later on than messing up like I did down there, but I think the shadow looks good. Just a little bit more here. And look at number 2 and number 1. Aren't those gorgeous? Okay, keep going. So I painted all of the cards, all 10 of them. 2 purples, 2 pinks, 2 oranges, and 2 blues. I highlighted, like you can see some of these I highlighted, and you know, it's just fun. Just sit there and create what you feel is right. There's no wrong here. Look at this one, how I shaded it, and this one. So next step is to put the cards together. Let's go.